In this episode, we'll demonstrate how to use the Node REPL. But first, let's take a look at some of the files we'll be dealing with. I have one file here called test_mod, and it contains a function called myTest, and then we export that. So it can be included from another module. Great, let's dive into the REPL. First, we'll need to see if we have Node installed on this computer. I've got Node version 10. If you don't have Node installed, take a look at the show notes where I'll link to another episode where I show how to install Node. We enter the REPL by typing Node and hitting enter. The Node REPL is basically like a little sandbox where we can try out JavaScript commands, we can try out any of the Node APIs, but we don't have access to the browser APIs. That means that things like alert will not work here because Node is meant as a server-side language, which means we don't have access to browser-only APIs. Some of the APIs are both in the browser and in Node, and most of the JavaScript that runs in the browser will run in Node, but some of the APIs are different. So what can we do here? We can do things like type fs for the fs module, which shows us what some of the methods are available. So we can do fs.makeDirectory, read file, read sync, read file sync, etc. Do the same with console. So we've got console log, console.time, and time end. Let's try that one. Then you have to name it. And undefined here just means that this command doesn't return anything. It still worked just fine. Now we'll end this one, and looks like 11 seconds elapsed between those two commands. So this can be very useful if you're trying to time your JavaScript to see how much time elapses between maybe an API call, something like that. Now what if you have a big Node app and you have one piece that's not working right? Let's say you're importing a file as part of a route, and there's a problem there, but you're not sure what the problem is. The REPL is a great place to isolate it. So you can import it, you can require it in, and you can run it in isolation and kind of poke it and prod it and see what happens. So let's load that module that I showed at the beginning of this episode. So we have to assign it a variable that we want to assign that object to. And really you could choose any name here. So I'll just do mine, require, and the name of that file was test_mod. Can leave out the .js extension. So it cannot find the module test_mod. If you don't include the relative path, it'll assume it's in the Node modules folder, which we don't have here. So I have to do a ./, which tells it that it's in the same folder. There we go, undefined, which means we now have access to that. So mine is an object with a method attached of myTest. We can call mine.myTest. And that says it worked, which means that function ran. So in summary, the REPL is a great way for you to test small snippets of JavaScript, for you to see what methods and functions are available in this version. So here I'm running Node version 10. And this is a great way to see what kind of functionality works, what doesn't. For you to test out small snippets, you can even pull in files as modules and try them out. That's it. Good luck.